I would like to go over the assignment. In this assignment, you will be performing the same tasks that you did in the document object model assignment. You will be changing the plus sign to a minus and displaying the content below. So when I click on this H2 element, the plus sign changes to minus and we see the content. The content will appear using an effect method, so there is some kind of motion to it. There will be a time duration, as opposed to just automatically being visible and then being hidden. So you will choose the jQuery effect method of your choice to accomplish this. You will need to add a class to the H2 to change the plus sign to a minus. So if you look at the source code, we have two section elements. Each one of them has an H2 element in it. We will be clicking on the H2 elements inside section ID equals QA. There are 3 of them. Each H2 has a div underneath it. So when we click on an H2, the content underneath will be displayed. You will need to use a jQuery selector to access the correct H2. That will be a descendant selector by using the ID QA as the starting point. In this case, it is the parent and the H2 is a descendant. You will access the div using the jQuery next method, which will access the next element. When the page loads, the divs are not shown. That is because there is a CSS style applied to them. And this is the style here. It is a descendant selector main div setting the display property to none. You don't have to worry about that. When you use the effect method, that will manipulate the display property so that you see the content and then the content will be hidden again. You don't need to worry about this. We do have a class here for the minus sign to be displayed, and the class name is minus. You will be toggling that class on and off to show the minus sign. When the page loads, we have a descendant selector that is setting the plus icon. You don't have to worry about that. When we toggle that class, the minus icon will take precedence over the plus icon, and that will be visible. When we toggle that class again, the minus icon will essentially be removed, and therefore the plus icon will be visible. So let's take a look at what's going on in the inspector. I have just loaded this page. Notice we have 3 events set up for each H2. Notice that the div underneath is grayed out, and notice you don't see the divs underneath in the web page because the CSS is setting the display to none, so you don't see them. When I click on the first H2 inside the inspector, you will see a class being added to the H2. You will also see an inline style being added to the div. That is the jQuery effect method. And I am using slide toggle in this example. However, they all pretty much work the same with respect to the generated CSS. So now I will click. Notice the class is minus. And now notice I have an inline style display colon block. That inline style takes precedence over the original CSS style that was applied to the div. So we will see the div. When I click again, that style is set to none, display none. And notice the class is no longer there. The class attribute is still there. The value has been removed. When I click again, notice we are setting the display to block, so we are seeing the div. Notice the class equals minus is set. When I click again, we are setting the display back to none, and the class name has been removed. So this is what jQuery is doing to the code here. There are only two methods that you need. In addition to the click event, you need the toggle class method and your choice of one of the three event methods: toggle, slide toggle, or fade toggle. And the next method to access the div.